Welcome to Bible Storybook. Today's journey takes us deep into the wilderness with the children of Israel. It's a strange, almost hidden story in the book of Numbers, one that begins with a complaint and ends with an image that still speaks across centuries. Let's walk into it together. The people of Israel had been walking for years. The desert sun burned overhead. The ground beneath their feet was dry, cracked, and endless. Day after day they ate manna, the bread of heaven, bread that was in itself a miracle. Every morning it lay fresh on the ground, provided by God's hand. Yet what once filled them with wonder now filled them with boredom. The taste that once spoke of heaven now seemed stale. And so, the people began to murmur. They raised their voices not in gratitude but in complaint. They spoke against Moses, and worse, against God himself. Why did you bring us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread, there is no water, and we detest this miserable food. Could you pause for a moment here? Isn't this the story of us all? How quickly blessings become not enough. How easily we despise the very things we once prayed for. Have you ever noticed how gratitude tends to fade when life feels repetitive? The Israelites had freedom from slavery. They had food from heaven, and they had water from rocks, but still, they wanted more. And in that ingratitude, their hearts turned venomous. Then the wilderness answered. Fiery serpents appeared among them, snakes that struck without warning, their venom burning like fire in the blood. The camp erupted in screams. Imagine the chaos. Children crying, men groaning, women falling, fear sweeping from tent to tent. The poison spread fast, and with it, death. Suddenly their complaints turned into cries for help. What they thought was misery before now seemed like nothing compared to the sting of the serpents. In their desperation, the people ran to Moses. Their words broke with confession. We have sinned. We spoke against the Lord and against you. Pray that the Lord will take the serpents away from us. The same tongues that cursed now pleaded. The same people who accused them now repented. Suffering has a way of humbling us, doesn't it? How many times have we only looked up when the venom is already burning in our veins? Moses prayed, and God responded, but not in the way anyone expected. The serpents remained. The desert did not change. Instead, God gave a strange command. Make a fiery serpent and set it upon a pole. Everyone who is bitten when they look at it shall live. So Moses shaped a serpent of bronze, lifted it high above the camp, and proclaimed the promise. And here is the wonder. Those who turned their eyes toward that bronze serpent, even if they were bitten, even if the venom was already working in them, were healed. The poison lost its power. But here's the question. How does that make sense? How can looking at an image bring life? Shouldn't there have been medicine, rituals, sacrifices, or something more tangible? But no. Healing came not through striving, but through trust. Not through effort, but through faith. All they had to do was look and live. Think about the strangeness of that. Imagine you're lying on the desert sand, the venom already pulsing through your body. The last thing you want to do is just look. And yet, that was God's way. It sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But maybe that's the lesson. Sometimes the hardest thing for us is not doing more, but trusting what God has already provided. Now, this story is not just a desert memory. Centuries later, in a quiet nighttime conversation, Jesus spoke of it. Talking with Nicodemus, he said, "Just as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life." Do you see it? The bronze serpent was pointing ahead to the cross. Let's pause here and reflect. The serpent was a symbol of death and a curse. The cross, too, was a symbol of shame and execution. Yet God turned both into instruments of healing and salvation. The Israelites looked at the image of what harmed them and lived. We look at Christ, who bore our sin, our curse, and our death, and in his wounds we are healed. But isn't this still mysterious? Isn't it strange that God would ask them to look at the very image of the thing that hurt them? Perhaps it was a mirror. They had to see face to face the consequence of their rebellion. They had to look at the symbol of their own sin, lifted high, and admit their need. Only then could healing come. And doesn't that speak to us today? How often do we want healing without facing the truth? How often do we want life without looking at the cross, where our sin is exposed? But it is there at the cross where our poison is drawn out and replaced with life. This story asks us searching questions. Where are you lifting your eyes when the venom of bitterness, fear, or guilt runs through you? Do you look at yourself, trying to fix what's broken on your own? Do you look at others, hoping they can carry the weight? Or do you lift your eyes to the one who was lifted up for you? The wilderness is not just Israel's story, it is ours. The serpents remind us of sin, striking and spreading. The venom reminds us of the curse that runs through humanity. But the bronze serpent reminds us of grace, that healing is near, that salvation is as close as looking up. So let this story linger in your mind. Let it ask you hard questions. How is it possible that looking brings life? How is it possible that a cross brings salvation? Perhaps because God's ways are not our ways. Perhaps because the mystery of faith is not about logic, but about trust. This has been the story of the bronze serpent in the wilderness. A story that looks strange, even puzzling, but beneath its mystery lies a truth that has echoed across history. Look and live. Thank you for joining me on Bible Storybook. Until next time, may your eyes be lifted to the one who heals, and may his grace carry you through every wilderness. See you in the next